Welcome to All Chalk, a podcast about the power of education to help young people speak up and build a fairer world. Each week we chat to a teacher or an educator to share their story, insights, and maybe a little tip or two on what they're up to in their school. Absolutely love today's chat with Hannah. She's a brilliant teacher working in an SEN school in Wolverhampton. From her journey as a manager in Tesco to leading a smart school council for the past 4 years, Hannah's all about putting student voice at the heart of the school. And there's just so much here on how pupils are speaking up and taking part in democracy in a very inclusive and routine way, which is what we love. Finally, we settle a debate on what the best genre of music is. It's a really fun chat, loads of great tips, so we really hope you enjoy. And if you'd like to explore more about smart school councils, then please do get in touch. We'd love to help you or your school reach more voices in an inclusive way. Over to Hannah. Yeah, honestly, thanks so much for coming on, Hannah. I really appreciate it. Shall we just start by, do you want to tell us a bit about kind of you and your school and where you are in the world?
Yeah, so we are a SEN school based in Wolverhampton. We cater for students who are 5 to 19, a range of special needs. Kind of our upper school is more sort of learning difficulties, whereas our lower school, we've got more complex needs, non-verbal coming through. So obviously they'll work their way through the school. In terms of me, so I've been teaching SEN students for 10 years. I used to work at Tesco's as their manager. I did that for 12 years. And then when I was 27, I thought, no, don't want to do this forever. So I went to university and trained to be a teacher.
Wow, what a journey. That's amazing, isn't it? What was the trigger to make you think, I don't want to work in Tesco's anymore?
So I've always wanted to sort of progress, if you like, in whatever I've done. And it was when they very first did the restructure at Tesco. So they took away the next level. So I was manager, then there was senior leadership team, and then there was store manager, and they took away the senior leadership team. So that sort of next jump up for me was massive. And I was like, well, that is huge. And I thought, I don't know whether I want that. I don't know whether I can do that. So I was like, oh, what else can I do? When I left school, I always wanted to work with children. And I did my level 3 at college when I was 16. So I was thinking, what else could I do, or should I change? And I thought, well, actually, I'd quite like to try teaching. So yeah,
So here you are, talking to me from a bright classroom behind you that we can see if you're watching on YouTube. So what did you study? Did you study a teaching degree?
Yeah, so I did a degree in education. I did it part-time, so I was still working at Tesco's as a manager when I did it. So I'd work 5 days a week at Tesco's, and then on one of my mornings I used to go to university to do my teaching degree, and then on my day off I volunteered in a primary school, and I did that for a year. I was shattered, and then managed to get a teaching assistant job at a school close to my home, and then I left Tesco's and went there.
Okay, and what is more stressful, challenging, rewarding? Being a store manager in Tesco's or working in an amazing school?
Being definitely here is more rewarding. Working in the school, definitely. Tesco's was a weird kind of pressure, and until I sort of stepped out of it, I was like, why did all these things sort of give me sleepless nights, and that sort of always being on call, if you like, or whatever. So different kind of pressure, but would 100% take the pressure and the stress of being in a school over Tesco's, because this is incredibly rewarding. And you get those moments with the students, and they just say something or do something, and you kind of go, that's why we do it, that's why I'm here, that's why I'm getting it. I don't live near Wolverhampton at all. I get up at 4:30 every day, so that's why I'm getting up at 4:30 every day, because of moments like this.
Well, you definitely deserve half term. Hopefully get a little bit of a longer lie-in than 4:30. That's amazing. So you started in SEN, I guess, or you did a bit of training in primary, but then SEN, and then so when did you start to think about or look at pupil voice or school councils?
In my old school, I wasn't really involved in it. I saw some of the meetings sort of from afar. and it always looked very chaotic. It always looked like, because we had back in that school, we had sort of more sort of SEMH students, so it looked very chaotic, very sort of, oh, let's do this, let's do that, but there wasn't much action being done from it, and it wasn't really sort of my thing to get involved with. It wasn't, I didn't really do much with that, but I did see it and I thought, okay, fair enough. And then when I applied for here and I got the job, the deputy at the time, he said, oh, we're trialing this new program called Smart School Council, and I was like, okay. And it just, in my head, I just sort of had the vision of this meeting I'd seen in my old school, thinking, absolutely not, is it gonna be like
Don't need
no.
that.
So I suppose I had an idea of what I didn't want it to be like before I'd started. I think the good thing here was that I started at the same time as school council, so the way it's grown is the way that I wanted it to go. I haven't had to remold it. I haven't had to sort of like battle anyone. So, you did do it like this, but now we're going to try this way. But no, I think it's brilliant. We here, before I started, they had feedback in their Ofsted report about pupil voice. They wanted the students to be more engaged and to be more involved in the running of the school and how that can work. And also increase like participation in lessons and sort of the general sort of school community they wanted the students to be involved in. They'd already decided before I started that they were going to be, the class meetings were going to be run by their tutors. So school council is done every Monday, lesson 1 here for all of upper school. But it's really helped to build those tutor relationships as well, because it's a time when the tutors sit with their students and they are obviously debating, they're talking about things that, the teachers are asking them open questions. So it's definitely done all the things that we wanted it to do and more.
Well, that's great to hear. I guess, and I guess, how did you start that process off? So I guess because it's like the approach we're talking about with the Smart School Council is a little bit different from what people might have had in mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, how did you kick things off?
So when I started, I also set up our preparation for adulthood curriculum. So when I got the job of what I'm doing now, they said, oh, we need this new curriculum called Preparation for Adulthood. It's going to go right through the school and this is what we want it to look like. And I was like, okay. So I sort of went away, wrote this whole curriculum with all these portfolios and stuff. So on my first day here, they said to me, oh, you need to present your PFA and Smart School Council to the teachers. And I was like, what? My first day, a brand new school, and I've got to do a talk. So it kind of, I did have a lot of help, to be fair, in terms of like, because I was launching PFA as a brand new thing, Smart School Council went along with it. So it was it was shared with the teachers and with the TLSAs on the first day that I started. A lot of obviously support from me was involved on the first sort of Monday. I was like, right, just radio me if you need anything. I was doing sort of running around the classroom, checking it was all working. So yeah, I did have a helping hand in that I was launching something else as well. And like I said, they did go hand in hand together. But sharing the vision, obviously, of it, sharing all the sort of the graphics and what it can do, and linking it to the visual program that we use, which is called Widget. So our students are familiar with the Widget symbol, so linking it to that as well. And also getting tutors involved in how easy it is to run. They don't need to log in, they just click the link and off they go. And also the students leading it. So obviously here we do, in terms of staff, like I do probably more than what maybe a mainstream sort of staff member would do, but our students still read the questions, so they're our class meeting leaders. In terms of note takers, they do the typing on the computers and put the votes in, which they love. Oh, I want to do the computer bit. So it's got the students involved as well. But we've managed to link so many different things to it. We've made decisions about the school. Our school charity was chosen through school council. We do a Penn Fest, like an art festival every year, and the logo for that every year is chosen through Smart School Council. Our drop down days for our language and our music curriculum, they're chosen through Smart School Council, and the students actually see, next week's French week, they know, oh, we voted for that, we voted for French week, or we voted for a drumming day, or so they can see their ideas actually forming sort of the ethos of the school.
Yeah, and sort of shaping things in the school, not just like stuff that you talk about sometimes and never hear anything back from. And when you talk about the sort of vision for it in your school and how you might have explained it to a new member of staff or one of your tutors, how did you kind of get that across, Hannah? Because it's obviously such an important thing, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. So it was showing them the platform as well, and sort of like how it was going to work. Involving them in terms of if they have like World Book Day or Science Week or something, do you want something debating? Do you want to link it to your question, to your topic or whatever? But yeah, no, setting up the class meeting and then running it through with the teachers was something that we did to start with, showing them actually how it works on the screen, showing the students as well. And we've been doing it, like I say, every single week for 4 years now. And the students know exactly what's coming up. They know how it works. Sharing the successes as well, that's definitely helped with keeping the engagement and the participation, and keeping it as a focus. So when we have a teacher meeting, which is every 3 weeks, it's on the agenda, anything for Smart School Council that I need to share. So yeah, and also what I've started to do is collate sort of regular feedback. So the staff will say, oh, what about this? Or I'll say, oh, what about this question? Or did this question work? What do we think about this? So yeah, setting it up and showing them how it works, showing them how the results are used. We've got a board in school as well, a really big board on our main floor, which is Smart School Council. It's a working board. So we have every week I update with how many votes we've had so far this year, how many meetings we've had, the questions that we've done, the action teams are all on there with photos and stuff and pictures and ideas and everything. And also a big part of the board, which was suggestions from the students actually, was things that like they can't do, or things that we can't maybe do, or things that we have done. So part of the board is an unable to do, so at least they know that we're listening to them and we can't do it. So things like a longer lunch and shorter lessons.
Worth a
Yeah,
try.
4-day school week, bring a pet to school day, that one always comes up. So those are on the board because and when they say it, we say, well, it's your voice, it's your opinion, it's your idea, so we're going to listen to you, even if they're not feasible. And then we've got suggestions. So they said, oh, what about tuck shops? So now I run a tuck shop every Tuesday break time. They wanted more swimming lessons, so we've got swimming lessons now for upper school. We've got our own pool, so upper school students can go and use the pool. So yeah, loads of ideas. But I think setting it up and then making sure that initial sort of like legwork is done, to everybody knows what they're doing. They know that you're there if they need you, and then asking for their feedback has definitely kept that engagement.
Yeah, exactly. It's not been something which has kind of been there for 6 months and then
Yeah,
sort of faltered. It's like you've
yeah,
involved both the pupils and the
yeah,
tutors and your colleagues in that. That
yeah,
sounds really cool. And so I'm uh, I'm just curious what so every month it's Monday morning. Everyone's just
yeah,
arrived. Um, I guess the overall idea there is that you're trying to get everybody to have a say and use their voice in the school, not just a kind of a little
yeah,
group who might meet once every half
yeah,
term. But what does it look like in your setting when you come in on a Monday and it's like the class meeting? Just for somebody who's not like heard about it, it's quite different, isn't it? Like, key to hear like
yeah.
what happens.
So the students come in from 8:30, and then at 9 o'clock, that's when tutor starts on a Monday morning. So if there's an assembly, they'll do assembly first, which is about 15 minutes on Teams. Could be a message from from their phase leader. It could be a task to do. It could be, if it's like road safety week, another teacher might do a sort of like topical assembly, and then they go straight into Smart School Council. So all the tutors are in their classrooms with their classes, with their students. There's a sort of an average of sort of 10 students per class. They click on the link that so every Friday I send them the link out. So they click on the link, press begin, choose their class from the drop down. Who asks the students who wants to be the leader, who wants to be the question, who wants to be the note taker, so do the typing on the computer, type all that in. They go through the results from last time. So it always comes up with this is what we discussed last time, the winning answer was, and then they talk about, oh, is that what you voted for? Or what do you think about that? So they have a debate again. It's a sort of recap as well. That helps with our students, that kind of like recap of what did happen. And then they start the new question. So it's on the board. They can use the timer. So I love the fact that you can turn the timer off. So some of our students need that 5 minutes to sort of focus them and right, we've only got 5 minutes, and then we'll play or we'll do whatever. Some students, it's they can't cope with the timer, and we turn it off for those classes. So so they read the question, read the options, and then they split the class into groups. So it depends where they're sitting or who they tend to work with, but we normally have groups of maybe 2 or 3 students, and then they debate together. We would try and keep it as an odd number if possible, in case we get a split decision. So we always say you've got to go with the majority vote. And if not, then the teacher gets the deciding vote on whoever can debate their opinion the best. So whoever has the best debate and the best reasoning of why they want to choose that option. One thing that I do when I set the questions is I don't have right and wrong answers. I have 4 or 5 right answers. So the one on Monday was, why do we need to be safe around school? So it was to make sure that everybody can learn, to keep everybody safe, so that people are happy. So all of the answers are right. I feel like that generates more of a debate than just saying, do we need to be safe, yes or no? So every week we don't have rights and wrongs. We have 5 or 4 right answers. So they debate them in their groups, and then they enter the votes onto the screen, and then the option for any other things that they want to say. So is there anything else you want to say about this question? And if not, we always say, is there anything else that you want to say or suggest to make our school even better than it already is? And that's where our suggestions come from. So like I said, tuck shop, swimming, bring a pet to school day, they've all come from that. We also have a suggestion box in reception, so it's like a little shoebox with a hole in the top. So that's for anybody else. So anyone that can just post in there, and that's something that our communication team look at.
Wow. Okay, that's amazing. And just to complete the kind of loop, what happens kind of next, Hannah? Where does all that go?
So they do that on a Monday. At some point during the week, I go through the list and just make sure that they've all completed. Have a look at the suggestions. Update the board with the amount of votes that we've got, add a meeting to the meeting tally. And then if there's any actions to come from anything, then that's what I will do. When I first started, I used to purposely put questions in to create an action. So if the question was which charity, knowing that we needed to pick a school charity, it was which charity should we support? Whereas what I've started to do more of now is think more sort of like school council and action teams is more the specific action team, the actions that go with the class meetings. That's what the communication team do. And then I also run projects as action teams through school council as well. So so I'll look at the results and I'll see, right, do we need an action? Book a meeting with the communication team, and then that's where we'll look into what's been suggested. What can we do? We'll update the board. They'll say, oh, we could do that, or no, we can't do this, or whatever. So then it leads nicely into that communication team, because our communication team, well, our students, they probably can't do the role of a communication team member in a mainstream, like sort of logging on the computer and analysing the data and stuff. They wouldn't be able to do all that. They're more my kind of action team for any suggestions from the class meetings.
Yeah, amazing. Oh, that sounds great. Yeah, it's and it's just it sounds like you're making the model work and the approach work for you in your setting. But the foundation being that let's just give everyone a go. Let's get everyone speaking up. And it's amazing. You kick off the week with it as well. Makes me feel very happy. very, very cool. What sort of 2 or 3 questions, like that example about safety in school is a really cool one. What might be other types of questions that have been particularly fiery or stirred up a lot of discussion?
Well, we had one about, was it recently the astronauts returned from space? So we talked about sort of, does space, is space there for everybody? Should it be sort of portioned off? If you were going to space, what would you take? They always say a mobile phone, and you're like, in your Xbox, and you're like, well, think realistically. So that was one. We've had, like I say, ones that link to science weeks of why is science important. We've had what's your favourite genre of books for World Book Day? One they did love was I did one about the favourite style of dance. So I added the YouTube video into it, and they watched different dance, and then they they picked their best one, and then they loved it so much we did the same but for music, so the same favourite genre of music, and they were listening to music and stuff. They like the practical ones, they like the ones that they can listen to or watch. But yeah, we've had loads. One a few years ago was when all the sort of misogyny was going on in Newcastle and all that kind of thing. We had some links to that. Any topical events, we link it to. We always put one in about for Mental Health Week and Anti-Bullying Week. But yeah, so we just link it to whatever we can. We've got 6 core values that we work towards here as well. So the safety one on Monday was one of our core values, and next Monday's is about cooperation. So the question next week is going to be which cooperative skills do you need to improve, or words to that effect. So be honest and kind words and that kind of thing. So at the minute it's got a focus in that, it's linking to our school core values.
Yeah, okay. So like a real amazing mix of like value stuff, like maybe what's going on in the news, current affairs, like topics, awareness days, awareness weeks, that kind of thing. Whatever you feel is going to be helpful for your students.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And like I say, sometimes we'll have an assembly on like Road Safety Week, but then there's other things going on as well. So it's sometimes, if whatever the assembly is, I do a school council question on something different. So they've got sort of, they're being exposed to more things in that tutor time. We had one about why is it important to remember our sort of the people who sacrificed themselves in the war. So we were talking about, they were talking about their grandparents and the things they know and stuff. So yeah, things that are happening as well, and things that their family may have talked about.
Yeah, so cool. Really, really great. And I'm curious, according to the students, what is the best genre of music?
Hip hop.
Okay. And what about films? What's the best genre type of film? Or book?
Disney.
Book.
Our students,
Disney.
we've got most of our students who love Stitch, from Lilo and Stitch.
Okay, Stitch is really popular at the moment, isn't it? Is there a film coming out? My niece keeps banging on about it.
Yes, there is. I think there's a new one coming out with them. Is it Angel? I think.
Okay. Disney and Stitch as the most popular art at your school. I agree with some of that. And I guess I'm keen to hear. That sounds like an amazing routine. Have you got a particular kind of story or student that you think's got who's really got something out of this that you'd like to share, Hannah?
Well, we've done. It's not a student as such. It's more like a team. So, like I said, we run projects within our school council, and one of the ones that, there's a few probably I could say. So one of the ones we did was our local authority were running it was like an infrastructure company. We're running a design a railway competition. So students in SEN school, it was open to all of them, and they could design a railway that was going to be built in 2030 around the West Midlands. So we got involved in this. I asked all the students about, I can't remember what the question was now, it was something about trains and the future. And then the action from that was, do you want to design a railway? And I had 6 students who came. We created Train Club, which they loved. So they came every Tuesday as part of an action team to Train Club. They built their train stations out of cardboard. And then we went to the awards ceremony at Walsall Football Club in January, and they won first place in the mixed ages and abilities. But it was all done through school council, and they loved it. And now we are doing Tram Club because we went to design a tram stop competition. So yeah, they are loving it, and it's all through school council. That's how I've been able to do it. Other successes in my first year, when the students decided they were going to vote for a charity, fundraise for a charity in Wolverhampton. We did a fundraising week. I had a fundraising action team. They put on, we had sponsored silences, we had a spare change pot, we had a cake sale, we had a raffle, we had a duck race in our swimming pool. We raised over £1,000. So yeah, loads of successes through school council. We meet with the catering team every kind of 6 weeks. They have a select team who go and meet her and say what they'd like on the menu, things that they like. They go back and ask their classmates, what do you like? And then they take it to Sally. We've been over to the school next door to us. They've got a greenhouse, so they've been planting seeds, and one of them tried rhubarb for the first time about 3 weeks ago. So yeah, loads of little projects and stuff that we can do from it, but also changing the school and sort of working with the community as well, especially with Tram Club and Train Club. that sort of people coming in and also linking it to their sort of future. Some of them just love trains, and it was just to see them doing it was brilliant. But we wouldn't have been able to do it without school council sort of bringing the school together and then wanting to make those improvements.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's sort of like a vehicle for it, isn't
Yeah,
there? If there's like you could do an action team or a club
yeah,
for something like that,
yeah,
it
absolutely.
helps to kind of maybe have that
Yeah.
foundation. And how does that fit into all the amazing stuff you're doing on preparation for adulthood? Have I got that
Yeah.
right? Have I called that right? What other things are involved in that mix? It sounds really cool.
Well, so there's loads. So I teach PSHE as well. So I link all of it together, and I do careers. So all of it links really, really nicely. School council definitely links to preparation for adulthood. We're obviously teaching them those skills, that resiliency, independence. And we recently took part in your electoral debate. So we did that as
Hmm.
well. So they've got those sort of skills and knowledge for when they're older if they choose to vote. In terms of obviously PSHE, you know, they're socialising, they're working together, and for PFA, for preparation for adulthood, we've put in some like specialist portfolios for sixth form. So they're linking to like citizenship, community awareness, which again we link to school council massively. Sixth form at the minute are growing plants for our summer festival. So they're
Cool.
doing that, but they're doing it through school council as well. That was one of the things. What do we need to do for the environment? We need to plant more plants and obviously look after the wildlife and stuff. So it's all massively linking together. And loads of things that they're doing through school council, I can also link to their careers. So it's helping their careers, education and experience as well. And our school charity, we now do voluntary work for. So every 2 weeks, sorry, two of our students go and work in their little community shop and get work experience. But again, we wouldn't have been able to do that without school council, because that's where that links come from. And because they're our school charity, we're fundraising for them. Last year, the students voted to donate food. So we took all the food there, and they had a walk around the charity and around the kitchen and around the catering area of the charity place. So yeah, but like I say, you know, it all links, but we won't be able to do it without that school council tying it all together and being like the sort of core for everything. They said when I started, they wanted PFA to run through the school and, you know, be the sort of ethos, but school council is definitely there with it because we won't be able to do it otherwise.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow, what a first day getting to present all that. Like big first
Yeah,
day.
yeah. And they didn't tell me till the morning. They were like, oh, by the
Okay.
way, what? Yeah.
And you mentioned something earlier about some of the needs of the students changing, maybe from the upper school to the lower school. I'm curious how you might think about adapting kind of what the weekly meetings might look like for different needs, because obviously what might work for one group or set of students may not work for another, I guess.
Yeah, so we know, well, I know that we're going to have to sort of maybe adapt the way we do it or change the way we do it. Like I said, we use Widget, our visual learning, visual platform a lot. So the option pictures that go with the questions and they're all widgeted. So I think moving forward, it is going to be probably opening up the floor to, you know, if they're not quite ready on a Monday morning to do it, they could maybe do it a little bit later. At the minute, our upper school do follow sort of like a secondary model where teachers stay in their classrooms and the students move. It could be in the future with the learners that we've got coming through that we do more of a primary model in upper school, which again gives us more scope to maybe do it at some point throughout the week. I think changing the way that it's delivered, so getting our SALT team, our speech and language team, involved in sort of sharing for some of our students with hearing impairments. Definitely get them involved. That's something we're doing as a school. We're all sort of learning more Makaton and more BSL anyway, but I think that as well. And then different ways for them to answer. So obviously our students at the minute are able to sit and talk and debate, but it could be in a few years they might not be able to if they're non-verbal. So it's having those signs, those flashcards, different ways of them communicating. Do they point to the options? Do they point to the answers? Getting the students to maybe act out something or do something that way. So they're communicating in their own way, in however they can. But we're 100% going to carry on with school council and we will adapt it to our learners. You know, we know that, as we can see, we're quite lucky in that our lower school are sort of in our building, so we know what we've got coming through. We can already start to make those changes.
Yeah, that's super helpful, isn't it? Because you don't have a big bunch of
Yeah.
arriving without knowing them. I
Yeah.
guess that's really cool. What would your advice be to people in different settings who maybe were thinking, "Oh, it sounds cool, but it sounds like a lot of work, or it sounds quite different." Like what would you be saying to them, Hannah?
I'd say if you're going to set it up, get the staff on board with how easy it is. Show them the benefits of it, show them how it, what you're going to do with the data, and share those results as well. Because every time I share something that we've done or something that's worked well, I've always said it's come from Smart School Council, it's through Smart School Council, so they can really actually see it working in front of them. I'd say as well, like I said earlier, making sure that all of the students know that whatever they say, they're going to be listened to. So, even if it's something that can't be done, still write it down, still record it, still give them that feedback. That's something that they fed back to me after the first year. They said, "Oh, we suggest these things, but we don't always hear back." So what I've started to do now is when I set up the next class meeting where it says you can add an action, I add an action and I add in any feedback that they've said and what I've done about it. So they at the minute are kind of asking for like karaoke club or dancing club or whatever. So I'm putting on there, this has all been fed back to my welfare manager who does clubs, so they can actually see that you're doing something with it. Because if the students can see you're doing something with their opinions, they're going to carry on engaging. A visible and working board, I would say as well. It's as like I say, it's on our main floor of our school. It's there. It's every year it gets sort of taken down. Our caretakers paint it all. I put the border back up, and the title that we've got, it goes back up. We got our design technology teacher. He made the Smart School Council logo out of plastic, so it's 3D off the board, and then on the other side we've got our school logo. So it's there and it's all sort of very visual. So they go up and they look at it, and that helps as well because it's drawing that interest, and they know that it's not just something that they do on a Monday for 20 minutes and then it's forgotten. They can see it actually working. And then having that key person that is going to, really sort of push it and run it. Luckily, I had a really supportive SLT who, they said, this is when we're doing it. This is, what is going to happen. And then obviously I led the implementing it. But yeah, no, I'd 100%, share those successes, share the results, and, kind of bang the drum about it. I don't know whether people are sick of me going, it's Smart School Council, but it's so brilliant. But yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess it's like, what it sounds like. It's so good to hear from a school and a teacher who sort of just really wants to put young people's voices at the heart of what you're doing. And I think all that we do is to try and make that like happen in a sort of practical way, because it's not easy, like on the face of it, saying, yeah, we're going to get everybody's voice involved every single week, or at least regularly. It's trying to make it kind of manageable and easy, because you guys got so much on. You're managing quite a lot, well, a huge amount. So trying to make it practical, but it sounds like you're definitely doing it.
Yeah. I think, like you said, their voices, the future is theirs, isn't it? They're here, they're going to be, us in 20 years time or whatever. So, whatever they can see happening, however they want things to be shaped. But in terms of counting the votes as well, so making sure that we are listening to pupil voice, it is on the board, like I say, how many votes we've done, and I counted up yesterday. So this year we've had 734 votes, and that's not students, that's groups. So we've got about 150 students in upper school. So yeah, they've all got into their groups of 2s and 3s, and then that group. So then we average kind of about 700 a year. So this year we've actually gone even higher. But yeah, just seeing those numbers, I'm thinking, wow, that's a lot of opinions, that's a lot of voices, that's a lot of children that are actually knowing that we're listening to them, which is why we do it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow, that's some big numbers, Hannah. And how does it compare to Tesco then? The final question. Well, I mean, I guess you probably learned a bit. Well, probably learned quite a lot about working in that context that you brought to school.
Yeah, the data and the analysing side and the sort of organisation and stuff I definitely got. I remember when I went for my interview at my old job, when I got a job as a teaching assistant, the head teacher said to me, so it's going to kind of be the same, but instead of looking after a tin of beans, you're looking after a child. Okay. Good job I'm going that way, not the other way. But yeah, no. So definitely, I've definitely got skills I've brought across. But teaching and smart school council is way more rewarding.
Oh, well, it's great to hear it. I honestly really appreciate your time today in kind of sharing that story of setting it up and getting your like staff team and students on board, and just how like regular, it sounds kind of dry in a way, but like how regular and normal it is to get the kids speaking up every week and then getting involved in democracy and having their say. It's really, really cool. So well done.
Yeah, no, it's part of their routine. Our students need routine. They need to know what's happening, and they know every Monday assembly, school council. So yeah, it helps with their sort of just general, being able to regulate themselves, and they know that it's happening.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Hannah.
You.
Any last words before we close today's podcast?
I don't think so. Just thank you very much, because, like I say, without school council, we wouldn't have been able to make the changes. So thank you. And thank you for asking me to do this.